In a world that silenced women and chained minds with judgment, one woman picked up her pen and rewrote destiny itself. Her name was Marianne Evans, though the world would come to know her as George Eliot. She wasn't born into fame or privilege. She wasn't raised to believe her voice could echo across centuries. But deep inside her soul, she carried something unshakable: the courage to think differently, and the strength to live truthfully. From the quiet English countryside, she grew up surrounded by expectations that told her what a woman could and couldn't be. But while others accepted the world as it was, Marianne dreamed of what it could become. She questioned everything: the roles, the rules, the religion, the silence. While her world demanded that women be polite, pious, and passive, she dared to be brilliant, bold, and brave. Her hunger for learning knew no limits. She devoured books, philosophy, and poetry. Every word she read became a weapon against ignorance, every page a window to freedom. But the world wasn't ready for a woman like her. Her curiosity was called rebellion. Her honesty was called arrogance. People judged her, mocked her, and tried to shame her into silence. But she refused to bow down. She knew something that most people forget: that silence is not peace. Silence is surrender. When her ideas began to challenge religion and tradition, she was cast aside. She lost friends, family, and social approval, but not her faith in herself. And so, out of pain, a writer was born. She poured her heart into her words, building worlds full of truth and humanity. But the publishing world was cruel to women. Female authors were mocked, dismissed, or ignored. So, Marianne did something extraordinary. She created another name, a new identity, one that would allow her words to live freely. She became George Eliot. That name wasn't a mask. It was a declaration of freedom. Under it, she wrote not for fame, but for truth. Her novels, Adam Bede, The Mill on the Floss, Silas Marner, and her masterpiece Middlemarch were unlike anything the world had seen. They weren't just stories. They were mirrors. Mirrors that reflected society's hypocrisy, humanity's beauty, and the struggles of the human heart. She wrote about people who failed, people who doubted, people who loved imperfectly, because she knew that real life isn't perfect. It's honest. Her stories weren't sugar-coated fantasies. They were living portraits of courage and compassion. But greatness never comes without pain. Even after success, the world still judged her not for her work, but for her choices. She fell in love with a married man, George Henry Lewes, and lived with him openly at a time when such love was condemned. Society turned its back on her. She was shunned, humiliated, and branded immoral. But George Eliot didn't need their approval. She had already built her own universe through her words. She understood something timeless: that living truthfully is more powerful than living comfortably. She once wrote, "It is never too late to be what you might have been." Those words weren't just a line, they were her entire life philosophy. They remind us that no matter how broken your past, how late your start, or how heavy your burdens, you can still become the person you were meant to be. Her novels taught the world empathy. They reminded us that even the smallest acts of kindness can change a life, that ordinary people have extraordinary stories, and that every human heart carries both light and darkness. She showed that greatness isn't loud, it's quiet strength. It's in perseverance, in honesty, in choosing kindness even when it's not returned. Through her characters, she spoke for those who had no voice, and in doing so, she gave humanity a mirror to see its own soul. George Eliot didn't just write books. She built bridges between hearts. She gave dignity to the forgotten and beauty to imperfection. And she did all of this in a time when the world told her she had no right to speak. Her story is not just about writing. It's about believing in your truth when no one else does. It's about standing tall when the world calls you foolish. It's about knowing that your dream, no matter how small it seems, matters. Because it's not the noise that defines your worth. It's your persistence. The world will try to shrink you. It will question your purpose and laugh at your passion. But remember George Eliot, a woman who was told she couldn't and did anyway. She didn't let rejection define her. She turned it into fuel. She didn't hide her voice. She gave it a name that would never be forgotten. She faced isolation, judgment, and fear, yet she wrote on, believing that truth, no matter how small, would outlast lies. Even today, centuries later, her words breathe life into those who feel unseen. She reminds us that failure is not the opposite of success. It's the path to it. She reminds us that you don't need the world's approval to make history. You just need courage and consistency. She reminds us that our duty is not to be perfect, but to be real. Every challenge she faced, every tear she shed, every line she wrote became a step toward immortality. And through that journey, she taught the world one eternal lesson: that true greatness begins when you stop pretending and start being. So if you're listening to this today, maybe you feel unseen, unheard, or unappreciated. Maybe the world has told you that your dreams are too big, or that your voice is too small. Maybe you've been waiting for someone to believe in you. But here's the truth. You don't need their permission to begin. You don't need their applause to continue. You don't need their validation to matter. You are already enough. Every struggle you've faced is shaping you into something remarkable. Every fall is building your strength. Every doubt is teaching you resilience. The world might not understand your journey yet, but it will. Because the world always recognizes courage, even if it takes time. George Eliot lived her life misunderstood, yet her words outlived everyone who doubted her. That's the power of authenticity. You may not see your impact right away, but your honesty will ripple across lives. You may not get credit now, but truth has a way of shining through the darkness. Remember, courage is not the absence of fear. It's moving forward in spite of it. Your voice, your art, your dream, they have the power to touch hearts and change lives. You just need to believe in them as fiercely as she did. George Eliot's story isn't just about literature. It's about liberation. She freed herself from the world's expectations, and through her, we learn to do the same. She proved that even in a world built to silence you, your truth can find its way to eternity. She proved that what matters is not how loud you speak, but how deeply your words touch the soul. She proved that strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers and still changes everything. And now, as her words continue to echo through time, they carry a message for you. Be yourself fully, fearlessly, unapologetically. Don't hide your light because others fear its brightness. Don't shrink your dreams to fit their comfort. Write your story, live your truth, and never forget, the world needs your authenticity more than your perfection. Because just like George Eliot, you have a voice that can outlast time. You have a purpose that cannot be replaced. You have a power that begins the moment you stop doubting yourself. So rise, create, speak, dream. Even when no one believes in you, believe anyway. Even when the road feels lonely, walk it with faith. Even when you fall, rise stronger. Because one day, When the noise fades, it won't be the doubters who are remembered. It will be you and your truth and the light you dared to share with the world. And if George Eliot's story inspired you today, if her courage reminded you that your voice, too, has power, then don't let this fire fade. Like this video to keep her legacy alive. Share it with someone who needs hope. And subscribe for more stories that remind you that greatness doesn't shout, it whispers, persists, and endures. Every like, every share, every belief helps keep the spirit of courage alive for another dreamer. Remember, your story matters, your dream matters, and the world is waiting for the strength only you can bring. So keep believing, keep rising, and keep creating. Because like George Eliot, you are not here to fit in. You are here to stand out and shine forever.